And good evening, one and all. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully everybody can hear me. Hey, Russ, how's it going?
All right, Javi, how you doing?
Good, good. I was just in the middle of. I was hoping I had enough time during the little 2 minute thing to finish putting this drive together, but looks like I'm gonna have to wait. I got a busy night tonight because I'm packing for tomorrow morning. I'm leaving and I haven't packed yet.
Oh Lord,
Yeah, you know how that goes.
I do actually.
So, how's everybody doing out there in YouTube TV land? Good evening, Mako. Good evening, Dave Kraus. Always happy to see you. Kevin Wilkerson from Philadelphia. Always, always good to see you, folks.
Hello, Kevin.
And let's see here. So today, let me make sure I've got. Yep, I got everything ready. So I'm good. Tonight, what we're gonna do is
First thing,
first thing.
first thing.
Introductions. Tell me, Russ, what's up?
No, I'm not saying that. I want to say that to the people in the chat. I said this is the first time he said everything ready before the show got started.
Yeah, everything except my hard drive, which you know, I'm. It's one of the things that I want to take with me. Oh, I see what I did. How silly of me. Okay, but anyway, yeah, I'm. I'm obsessed. I can't until I get this done.
Well, put the camera down where we can watch it.
Not my. Oh yeah, let's. Here we go. Let's see if we can aim down here. Yeah, I'm basically putting down a. See, I got one of these, and they're fantastic. By the way, these I love them. I swear by them. These little Seagate. Well, it's got a Seagate drive in it. It's whatever this curly Q symbol is. Whatever. I bought it 8 gig on 8 terabytes. Sorry,
8 terabytes.
on the big A.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, just make sure everything's right. Okay, this is, I believe it is semi. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so what it is it's obviously it's a hard drive enclosure is all it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really cool. It's 8 gig and comes with the cable and the plug and all that. And it's a USB, so it's got this USB cable here, and that's perfectly fine and dandy for my uses. But I have, and I'll show you my clean desk, and I have this this hard drive base, and when I want to transfer files quickly, faster than USB, I'll usually yank the drive out and use that. And I did that, but it's just, might as well just leave it in there and just give it time and wait slowly. So tonight, folks, let's see who else. Steve Atkins joined us, and Chris. Good to see you, Chris. Time to take some more Advil. So this morning I woke up with a bit of a neck ache. Okay, so tonight what we're going to be doing with is a couple things. We're going to create a vacuum table, very simple vacuum table, nothing out of this world. But and what I mean by a vacuum table is something that you can hook up to your shop vac and mount to your table. So it'll probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of, hopefully you'll have a good 3 or 4 inches at least clearance. Preferably 5 or 6. If you've got a Gatton, you've got 6.5 inches minimum. So that's perfect, because this will probably be in the 2.5 inch thick range. So adding 2.5 inches to your table, if you don't have it, well, then you're going to have to figure out a way to mount it under. But this is going to be a simple box, and what we're doing is we're creating a simple box with a lot of holes in it. And the bottom, the base of the box, the bottom side of the box is going to extend. And the reason why it extends is depending on your table. Again, you're going to customize it to your needs, but I'll give you the basic layout. For instance, I have rails at about 24 inches apart.
Mhm.
So what I'll do is I'll make my table 18 inches wide by, say, 30 inches. The more you can get, the better, because the bigger the volume is, then the better it is. Hey, Paul. Good evening.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
All right, so let's go ahead and begin with the with this wonderful thing here. Right, and boom, should be. Haha, see, already. All right, so
I would really love to have one of these, so I'm looking forward to it.
this is I mean, it's a very simple thing, but it's really it's more simple than you might think. So here we go. Let's start obviously with a new file. And this time I am going to make it 24 by 36. The thickness is going to be 0.75 because I'm making it all out of 3/4 inch plywood. And now what we'll do with first we'll make the base. The base is going to be fairly simple. So we're going to make a base of, now I told you it was about 24 inches for me from rail to rail. So I would say if I wanted to clamp it down, I'll give it 23 inches. So here's what I'm going to do. First of all, create a box, 23 inches. Let's see. Let's center it at, we won't center it. We won't worry about this part right now. We'll start at 0, 0. And we're going to do 23 inches wide by 30 inches high. Okay, create, boom. Now we're going to create another box, and that box is going to be all right. That's I'm thinking of what to do here. Okay, so I know exactly what to do. Okay, so the box is going to be another box, and it's going to be 18 inches wide. Well, we're going to make it 16.5 inches wide. And I'll show you why in a second. 16.5 inches wide by 30 minus an inch and a half. Remember, 0.75 or 3/4 times 2 is 1.5 inches. So we're looking at 28.5. I keep hitting the comma instead of it's a different keyboard. So create. All right. So now what we'll do is let me close these two things. Let me align both of these things. Actually, let me align them straight to the center of the board just to have everything centered. All right, now here's what we have. All right, this is the inside of the base. In fact, what we'll do is we're going to create an offset 3/4 of an inch outward, 0.75, and create sharp corners. All right. So that is the footprint of our box. Hopefully you guys follow me. The box, you see this pink over here. Let me the selected box here, that's the outside of the box. This base here is going to stick out of the box so you guys can clamp to it on the sides or from the top and from the bottom. You know, again, like I said, customize it if you need to. If you need to make this longer, say, for instance, you want it 2 inches all the way around just for fun. Well, then by all means, in that case, let's go ahead and enlarge this from the center. Instead of 30 inches, it'll be 34. So there's our, oops, undo that. Let me not link XY. and do the 34 again. Here we go. There we go. So now we have a concentric box all the way around. Here's the internal box. Now we are working with this piece. In other words, we are working with, let me do a profile outside. Cut depth is going to be 0.75. I'm doing this backwards because this should be the last step you do, but whatever. Select end mill 1/4 inch and calculate. So what I'm telling you now is we're working with basically this board. This is your bottom board. Now what I'm going to do on this bottom board is I'm going to create these grooves. Now, what I would suggest is, since I mean this is not gonna, you're not gonna lose any air through here. What I would suggest is take this board and create a fillet. And I'm gonna do well, let's do a dog bone fillet. All right. So the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to pocket in between these two lines. So it'll have a place for my box to sit. Well, if I do that and I pocket here, it'll curve because of the bit. So again, for most of you, I don't need to explain this, but for some of you, I'm just covering all bases, as they say. No pun intended. All right. So I don't know why I find that funny. So here we go. Let us do the old pocket toolpath. So here we're going to pocket. We're going to use and edit this. So remove this. We're going to select a end mill 3/4. Might as well have everything 3/4. Let me lock this in place here and calculate. Oh shoot! I'm not going to go all the way down on this. Oh no! Well, we did 1/8 of an inch is good. It was from our last job, so let's put this up top. Preview all toolpaths, and now we have. If we zoom in, we can see. We need to angle it a little so you can see. But basically, here I'll do this. Angle this. So we have our pocket. Okay, there's our base. Our base is done. So let's save as, and we're going to call this vacuum base, whatever. Vacuum base. Let's see, 1, 2. Let's see, it's give me a second. 1, 2. It'll either be 3 or 4 files. So the side files will be. I'm doing 32 inches by 2 1/4, 2 1/2 times that's 5. That's 10. Yeah, I can easily do that. 1 of 3.
Bobby Sam's just joined us. Said hello, Javi.
Hey, Bobby, how's it going? All right, so there's our first one. Our first one looks like this. It's basically nope, not that one. There we go. Yeah, let's angle it a little. There's our first board, our base for our wonderful cabinet. Now, if you have, I don't recommend it, but if you do have space underneath the board, in other words, if this is the base to your table, then I would stick a hole down here and stick the shop back from underneath. But that's not what we're doing today. Okay, so let's move on to the top. Well, yeah, let's leave the top for last. That's the most difficult. Okay, so let's go ahead to the next section. Now, this piece here is 30 inches high. All right, so 30 inches high. We want. I'm not gonna. Well, actually, yeah, I might as well get fancy. Let's do the following. I'm going to make a board. Let me make a new one. 30 inches high by an 1/8 inch plus an 1/8 inch on the top. And so plus how big is would you say a standard shop vac is? I don't feel like going and measuring it now.
Well, they vary, but
Is it
it's
2
what,
inches, 2 1/4? Is it so
I got one, and I'm gonna say it's about 2 1/4, 2 1/2.
okay, so let's yeah, let me let's see. I don't have one handy. Hey, somebody out there in the audience, what is the diameter of a standard shop vac? In fact, yeah, let me Google it and see if I can.
Not the real big ones, the small one. I got a 14 horse, and then I got that little, or 14 gallon, whatever it is.
Okay, they come in 2.5. All right, so
I nailed it.
2.5 is pretty big. Okay, so if it's 2.5, we're going to need at least 2.5 plus an 1/8 plus an 1/8 plus a little bit more space. So I would say, I'd say give it 3 inches. That's an awful lot, But let's say, yeah. Yeah, we're going pretty high on this. So I would suggest maybe take an adapter and do a 2 and do a 1 1/4 or 1.5 inch line. But assuming you have a full 7 inches or so, and you can get away with, well, it's going to be 3 inch clearance plus an extra 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. That's 4 inches. That's an awful lot. But let's for the moment, we'll do that. You can shrink it however you like afterwards. But remember, the bigger the volume inside the bigger the volume inside of the space, the better the vacuum. So let's keep that in mind. So we're gonna just, for the sake of this thing, we're gonna go with 3 inches. So 3 inches, if you take away an 1/8 and an 1/8, that it's going to be recessed, then you're looking at, I mean, it's the clearance on that 3 inches is 2 3/4, which is more than enough for that 2.5 pipe. So here we go. Your side ones, we'll go full length on this one. We're going to go 30 inches by, again, 3 inches. I'm going to move these things to the side because at the moment I don't need them, but you understand that this piece is going to fit vertically on the 4 corners here. So all right, so let's move this out of the way. Oops. I'm just going to move it to the side here. So we have our 3 inch piece, copy paste. We have our second 3 inch piece. Boy, that was easy. Now we'll do copy paste and we'll drag it over here. How long was the side? The side was, and this is where you guys gotta get used to doing calculations either in your head or with a calculator, but you gotta hopefully do the calculations. If as I'm looking here, if these two sides are taken, what is the length from the inside here to the inside here? And I'm not really going to do the inside because I'm about to rabbet these things also. So let's say that I'm going to take off 1/4 inch off this 3/4 inches. So this, basically it's going to be the 18 inches minus half here and half here. So 17 inches. So these things will now have a height. Let's do the height here. We're not linking XY, and the height, forget the width, that doesn't matter. The height is going to be 17 inches. All right, so there's our 17 inches. Let me undo that. Let me do it from the bottom, so I just shrink it down to here. All right, so 17 inches. Here's our, hopefully you guys can see this. There's our 4 sides. Now, very important, we must have the, let me go ahead and create the, from here, Give me 2 seconds, folks. I'll be right back. I'm being summoned. Keep them busy
Yes, sir.
while
Yes, sir.
I do this. See, there it is.
Mako, are you talking about having a picture and trying to scan it in with vcarve? I don't do that. If I want to scan it in, I got Microsoft scanning software on these printers, and I use that to save it as a PDF on my computer, and then I take vcarve and do the trace and stuff and scale it that way. I don't believe you can actually do it with vcarve. You have to get it into the computer first, if that's what you're asking.
All right, folks.
Mako asked a question you might want to take a look at.
Here we go. Anyone know if you can scan a part in with vcarve or photo and then trace and scale it? Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can do it the way I was telling him.
I will pause the explanation to answer that question real quick with a quick story as I drink my Diet Coke. I had some time ago, I had this blower inside of a snow machine for Santa's Enchanted Forest. And basically what it was kind of a vacuum cleaner motor, which are very powerful and stuff, but it was in 2 pieces, and there was inside the middle, there was a very hard plastic ring that it was really weird because imagine, if you will, a transmission casing. That was the outside, which had a hole here and a hole here. It was very confusing. But then this ring was like a donut. And so it connected to the 2 pieces through screws. Let me do it this way. Connected through screws all the way around to the 2 pieces. And on the inside, there was a motor bolted to it. Also, in the center of it. So like I said, it was a donut, but it had holes here, and it had holes near the inside of the donut, near the outside of the donut. A flat donut. So a washer. Basically, imagine a really big washer with little holes and then little holes on the inner ring and on the outer ring. Well, so it was, you had to get it really precise. Well, what I did was I had the broken piece because it had torn apart, and it had a bunch of plexiglass. What I did was I took the piece, I put it on top. It was 9 inches, so it was perfect. I stuck it on top of a scanner. You could also do you could use Genius Scan on your phone. That's not a problem as long as it's relatively square. With the scanner, it was perfect because it came out. I dropped it in as a clip art file right into vcarve, and you could trace it with circles, which is the best way. If you had what I had, if you have a very weird shape, then by all means use bit trace and follow it up. But you could also use like Genius Scan or something like that. Now, here's the deal with something like that. Let's say I'm doing a shape and or 2 shapes, whatever, and I take a picture with Genius Scan. Very important to get the measurements, to take a measurement. So obviously, if Genius Scan, or I'm saying Genius Scan, but any type of, just a picture of the thing with your phone, if you don't have the proportions correct, that's everything. If you obviously, if you're resizing it for something else, no biggie. But if it's an actual part and a sized part, then yeah, by all means. I have, on occasion, taken a picture of head-on of the gasket of a carburetor, to make a gasket. And all I would do is just basically, I'd have the picture, I'd scan it in, I know exactly where the holes are cut out, and I trace out the shape, and I'm done. And certainly good enough for government work. So I mean, so that's the long version of your answer. I hope that helps. But yes,
That's
you
pretty
can.
much what I told him in less words.
Yeah, yeah. I like to wax extemporaneously. So here we continue. All right. So now what I'm doing here is I'm basically going to go and first of all make this square, and I'm going to go. Oh, and these are supposed to be square too. So, I missed that part. Oh well, no biggie. Got these tiny little curves on all my stuff.
Plastic curves.
I'm telling you.
Mario joined us. Hello, Mario.
Hey, Mario, how's it going? And let's get rid of this one. And let's make this one also a square. Hey, what happened here? Yeah, whatever. All right, so I don't know what I did, but I'm going to check, see if I messed anything up. No, I didn't. Okay, here we go. Now, this, of course, is going to be, I'm just going to bring it out to here, and I'm going to make it this wide, which is the easy part. And the height, well, just 3/4 of an inch is all I need. So 3/4 of an inch, 0.75, boom. There's my little cutout. And again, since we don't want the curve here, or here, let me explain what happens for those of you that don't know. Okay, so I'm going to take this. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, that's to be very demonstrative.
All right. Hang on a second, folks. Let me see here. Go back to the 2D view here. All right, here we go. Now this here. All right. So this here, I want this to be a. We'll make this a pocket. Oh, goodness gracious. Double click and select and calculate. All right. Preview all toolpaths. Okay. So here's what happens, folks. When we cut out these parts and we do not account for the curve. Hang on. I'm trying to get that right here. This is what happens. You see, you'll notice.
Yeah.
Whoop. Let me. You'll notice there's these stupid things are left, and this is curved. Now, that's a perfectly flat piece is not going to fit there. So I mean, it's not going to butt up. You're going to need a little corner or chisel. No. We bought a CNC, so we don't have to use a chisel. Maybe that's not the reason we bought it. So I basically want to extend this to the right and to the left, at least 1/4 inch each way. So I'll add 1/2 inch, and I'll do it the easy way. Well, for me, it's the easy way. Go from absolute, from the center, and the, sorry, that was the move. I meant to resize. Resize from the center. The width is now going to be 3.5. Remember, I don't have it linked, so it's only going to move the width, not the height. And there it is. All right, so now that's going to be fine. We're going to take this, copy, paste, and we're going to drag it here. Copy, paste. We're going to drag both these over here. And why did I do it so messily? Well, so to help you guys get practice with the alignment tool, I'm going to choose both of these. Actually, I'm going to choose this and then select this one because I want this one to align to this one. And I'm going to align it to the tops. Now it just aligned to the tops. And to the center. Boom. I want to do the same thing with this one. Take this, align to this, and go top, center. Done. This one, bottom. Oops, it helps if I actually choose the second one. Bottom, center. Now they're aligned and exactly where they're supposed to be. Let's select everything here and give you guys a general idea. Okay, so we have our pieces. Now this pocket, we're going to make it, I said it was going to be 1/4 inch. And we're going to do this, this, and this. So we have everything ready for the following. We have our bottom piece, which we did. We have our, let me go ahead and save as. This is the second piece, 2 of 3. Okay, so you guys got the idea so far. You know what I'm doing here. These 2 pieces fit inside the 2 small pieces go across here. The 2 large pieces go vertically across here and across here. Now, what do we need to do? We need to have a nice little hole that's 2.5 inches. Again, you got to take into account, I had an extra. You have to take into account that that it may not be exactly 2.5 inches. So after you try one out and cut it out, you may have to fiddle with the size a little bit. But for the sake of argument, let's say it's 2.5 inches. So we have a circle, and we're going to say that the diameter, there we go, is 2.5 inches, 2.5. And we're going to just go right and move over. It'll drop in the center. Boom. There's our circle. So, yeah. Remember, we have about 1/8 of an inch, which will put us right about here, and 1/8 of an inch recessed in the bottom. And now I'm going to create the top. So there's our vacuum table. Guys, use your imagination. You have, hang on a second. Let's do this. And let's do the calculate. All right. So if we use our imagination, we can see the following. I made a mistake here. No, I didn't. That's the correct size. Okay. So we have our 4 pieces. These are our 4 sides. The 2 sides, the front, the top, and the bottom. It's got the thing that your slide. And like as I mentioned earlier, it fits inside this rabbit, and you've got your base sticking out. Now all we have left and all we need, let me save this. There's our second piece. Now let me save as and do 3 of 3, which is our top. And pretty soon we'll be done with this. Well, not pretty soon, because the top is the hardest part. So here we go. There's our second piece. Come on. There we go. Now the top, let's go ahead and grab these 2 pieces, copy, paste, and drag them over here again. And let's put them in the center. There we are. And back to the business at hand. This is going to be a layout of the, obviously, we're going to have to recess this again. So we're going to create a pocket. And the pocket's going to be 1/8 of an inch. And we already have everything chosen properly. It's just like the other one. We have our, give me a second. Let's go back to our profile, and then we choose, where's it? Pocket. There, calculate. Profile. Profile is going to be on the outside. Calculate. See, that's why I like working, folks, with you get used to working with these with these things, multiple spaces. Say if you're going to do a repeat movement, let me see if I can explain myself. If you're going to do a repeat movement, for instance, you're going to do a lot of different parts for a box, and each one is a profile, a profile, a profile. Each one has a pocket, a pocket, a pocket. Each one has circles or cutouts or whatever. Then by all means, just do it on the same page, move it out of the way, save a new file, and you have your tool paths ready to go. Here's my it's just this simple. I've already got my pocket in between these two and my profile. And what's more, I didn't have to do this all over again with the dog bone. I've got the dog bone ready set from the first one. And now the only thing I have to do, actually, this is, that's for the pocket. Now the profile, well, the profile is a little different. Now the profile here, I actually have to cut out the, okay, so that was great for the pocket, but now we are going to have to cut out a square for the profile. Well, we don't have to. We could, you could have a lid with little nibs on the side. So let's not, here's what it'll look like, by the way. So just so you guys have a preview all toolpaths. Okay, so here's what your top. Okay, so I'll take out the base because now we got rid of it. This is our top. Now, obviously, it's upside down, but here's the funny part of our top. The funny part is because we didn't get rid of this little thing, well, there it is. So what? It'll stick out the top. We don't care. If you truly want to get, by the way, you're muted, Russ, just in case you've been saying anything.
No wonder you didn't say hello to Rob.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, Rob, how's it going? Nobody knew he came in. Yeah.
I'm sat here and told you twice.
Okay. So anyway, what I was saying is, you can go through the trouble of making a square box. It'll certainly take less time than for me to explain it to you. But you know what? I don't know. Happy mistake. I kind of like this. This is kind of neat looking, whatever. So anyway, moving on, we have our box. We have our bottom piece. Let me see if I can get all of these in line. We have our bottom piece here. The bottom base, the wood sticks out. This is rabbited. So then we put these pieces in. These two are the sides. These two are the top and the bottom. This is the hole for the for your for your shop vac, and these four little nibbly bits are basically pockets to rabbit in for this. I like to rabbit when it comes to this kind of stuff. I like, and the reason why I'm rabbiting is because if you can glue it up, or at least have some kind of a rubber seal or something in there, that'll prevent leakage from, if you have just a plain butt joint, it's not going to be the best for leaks. We want this as tight as possible. But anyway, so now we get into the heart of the matter, this inside piece. Well, that's a simple matter. First of all, we're going to, well, maybe not so simple, but what is the smallest bit you have? Or for that matter, let's use a pecking bit. Let's say you want to, well, let's see. Let's see what the smallest bit I have is. So I'm going to create a circle. I don't want to go crazy, but if this is 18 wide, I think one every 3/4 of an inch might be a good idea. I don't know. Let's just stick one here for now. Well, preferably smaller than that, or you're going to need a very big shop vac. Okay, so let's say the diameter is, we'll start with 0.0675. So let's say it's a 1/16 of an inch. Is that, yeah, that is correct. That is a 1/16 of an inch. Okay, great. assuming you have a 1/16 of an inch drill bit. Let's try to let's create a little pocket. Actually, we'll just yeah.
Would there be an instance where you would actually use it a 1/16 of an inch to do those holes with?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I mean, you could either choose a 1/16 of an inch. The smaller the better.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. I mean, I'll be showing you about the groove in a second. But
Okay.
the smaller the better. The reason being is, this is where a lot of people have failed creating vacuum boxes. Is you don't want a big hole. You don't want air escaping really quickly. I mean, it's basically, let's put it this way. If there was a magical way where if you had a board, you could magically put the edge and leave this whole thing open to the dust collector and it wouldn't bend, that'd be perfect. Because then that would have the whole entire thing except for the very, very edges. Okay, that's great, but that's not going to happen. So the next best thing is a whole bunch of little tiny holes.
Okay.
And the reason I say tiny holes is because, well, I mean, you could have bigger holes, but if by any chance you the trick is to get a good seal.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a lot of holes and you're pulling down a piece of wood and there's a lot of air going through, let me see how I can explain it. Basically, the shop vac can't keep up. Whereas if you have a bunch of little tiny holes, you're going to create a huge vacuum on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And now, obviously, above that's where you want the vacuum is. You want this thing pulling down. That will happen gradually with as long as it's sealed. It will. It's like a. Can't really. I'm thinking 10 thoughts at the same time, and I can't come up with an analogy.
Well,
But
would a 1/4 inch hole be satisfactory? Because
well,
I've got a
people
little
have had problems with 1/4 inch holes, and the reason being is you do have to do something extra. Okay, we'll do it with a 1/4 inch hole. We'll do it with a 1/4 inch hole for the sake of explanation. Remember, the smaller the better, but not always the small. I mean, if you make it so small, like like this, that's not going to work. But
my 16-inch bit only has a 1/2 inch cutting surface or 1/4 inch cutting surface.
Your 16-inch bit only has a 1/4 inch.
1/4 inch cut height.
Oh, no. Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Because you are going through. Yeah, so that's another thing you could do is you could choose a smaller lid for the. I mean, you could rejigger this and choose a smaller lid. A 1/2 inch would be fine. In fact, let's go ahead and do a 1/2 inch because a 1/2 inch is sturdy enough, then it'll hold it. And you're absolutely right. My 16th inch bit will only go a 1/2 inch. So let's not complicate things. So let's go back here to this and oops. Let's see where.
By the way, Michael King just joined us.
Hey, Michael, good to see you.
He had a question for you.
All right, I've got an answer for. Okay, so what we got to do is we got to reduce these little things to 1/2 inch. So the pocket. I'm sorry. No, all we have to do. We don't have to do anything. We just put a 1/2 inch board in there. The only thing we have to do is nope, nothing at all. Just drop the 1/2 inch board on top. Because everything else sticks out the top. It doesn't matter how high it is. And if you happen to have an 1/8 inch hardboard that's sturdy enough to hold a vacuum, then by all means, but that's going to bow.
I think it would bow, yeah.
And now even a hardboard, that's gonna bow, and then you could just drop that right in. You don't need to. But anyway, here we go. Going back to our little hole here. What was the question, by the way?
He said he asked, "Did you chuckle at Trump jokes and Animaniacs?"
Oh, you know what? I haven't seen more than episode 1 yet. I haven't had a spare moment to do that. So, I guess I'll get to it hopefully soon. But okay, so we have 1/4-inch holes here now.
Put your screen on so they can see it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They can't see me.
Thank you. We have our 1/4-inch hole. All right, so now we're going to make an array, as we often do. All right, so there's an array. Now, I don't want to calculate. I mean, I could calculate. Okay, so we have about 18 inches, 3/4 of an inch. That would be 24. So I'd say 23 across. Boy, that's, whatever. Look, this many rows. Okay, let's try 12 by 20. And the offset, we're going to use an offset, and the offset of each one, because I don't like using a gap, because especially for 2.251. By the way, folks, if you have, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, if you have a 1/4-inch bit and you're doing a pocket inside or even a profile inside, you have to put at least 0.251. You can't do a 1/4-inch hole with a 1/4-inch bit unless you're using the pecking function, where it just goes pecks and goes down. I'm not using the pecking function. I'm having it spiral down into the thing. So here we go. 0.251 is the diameter. We're using we're going to use a 1/4-inch bit. Here's our first one. 12 by 20 is what I'm going to do. So let's see how that turns out. And 12 by 20. Oh, the Y offset. Oh, by the way, it's going to be a 1/4-inch, 0.75 by 0.7. Actually, yeah, let's do that. 0.75. 0.75, not 70. Okay, so that was pretty good. We don't need to do anything more on the right, but on the left we do. So, height-wise we do. So let me undo that. And rows, I figured it was 23. Rows is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, let's try 50. Copy. Well, too much. Undo.
I figured 35, but I could be wrong.
Let's see your 35. Copy. A couple more.
36. Maybe. My God, that would have been it.
Yeah, maybe 36 might have done it. 36 might have done it. Let's try 37. Yeah, 37 will do it. Because now I'll take this thing and I will group it, and I will hold the shift key and do the old align. Now it's on the center. Now it's dead center. Now here's the key. And this is the truly annoying part. Okay. Wait till you see what I'm going to do. Watch what I'm going to do. And this is important for a number of reasons. You're okay. Here we go. We're going to make a line. We're going to make a line from this center point. We're going to go to the right, whatever. Paste. And now I'm going to extend this line. Let's see. I'm going to move this. Okay. Follow me along. The line is right centered on the dot. I'm going to move it to the left. No, actually, I'm going to create it. Yeah, I'm going to do it right on the line. Now, I'm going to extend this line to the right to this little point. Okay. Hey, what happened here? I didn't extend it. It moved it. And there's a reason for my madness. Okay, so here we go. All right. Now I'm going to increase it by, let's see, it would be, I'm trying to see, in between these 2 points, it would be, okay, so this is 3.5 inches, okay, so it'll be, I'm going to increase the line by resizing it. Point 0.75 more, 3/4 of an inch more. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. So I'm doing this to 15 inches. There's one line. Now what I'm going to do with this line is, well, first of all, let's create my other line. My other line is going to go from this point all the way up to this point. And then I hit the space bar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase this line again, same way we did the other one, except vertically now. Increase this line from the bottom here. The height is now going to be 27.75. There's a method to my madness. Again, I'm thinking this is just on the fly. I'm thinking of these things, so I could be wrong, but let's see what happens. All right, so now what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to create a grid. Make sure this is still grouped. Good, this is grouped. Okay, here's my line. My line is soon about to be, how many of you have seen Battleship, the board? Well, I'm basically creating Battleship. Okay, so here's what happens. I'm going to take this line and I'm going to duplicate it. Offset is going to be, on the Y is going to be 0.75. Here it's going to be 0. And I want, instead of 37 columns, by one, by the way, one column. We did 20 before. Now we're doing 1. And then here we're going to do 38. Copy. Boom. You see how it went from this one to 3/4 of an inch more. Okay. That's important. Well, somewhat important. Here, we're going to take this line now. And we're going to do the same thing to the right. We're going to repeat it 21 times. This is going to be 1. Now the X is going to be 0.75, and this is going to be 0 on the Y offset. Copy. I have just created my grid. But wait a second. The grid is matched up with the lines. Not for long. I'll select everything. Unselect the dots. Come on. There you are. Unselect these two. Now I have my grid. I'm going to group my grid. I'm going to center my grid to any one of these. They're all the same centered. Boom. And look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that happy? Isn't that, why the hell did you do that, Javi? Well, because here's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to say profile toolpath. I'm only going to do something like, I'm going to use a ball nose bit. Now you guys already know. Now, once I said ball nose, now you guys know what I'm doing, okay? An 1/8 inch ball nose. Select. And I'm going to go 0.0675. Whoops. That's way too many O's. I mean, way too many points. Way too many O's, too. All right. And on the line.
Troy. How you doing, Troy?
On the line and calculate. So I have just created the following. Well, first of all, let me see what okay, so I have these two things. I didn't do my holes yet. So let's go ahead and this profile here that we did. Well, actually, let's just create a new one. We'll create, we'll go to the dots. We will say pocket inside, where that No, pocket is inside. Never mind. And we're going to go with a full depth of 0.75. Calculate. And wow, that's a lot of little dots. Look at that funny. That is the funniest. Do you see that pattern?
Yeah.
That is the weirdest pattern. It starts here, it goes a zigzag, then up this way, then this way, then down here, zig. It's just the weirdest thing. God love it. Okay, so anyway, we have all our pieces. What did we achieve? For those of you who are unfamiliar, who don't speak toolpath, this is what it looks like. And you're going to love this. All right. Coming up. All right. So now.
Oh, man, that's beautiful.
That's beautiful. Except for one issue. And that is we're going to have to remove the pocket because this is the top on the inside here, but this is the bottom. So,
Right.
Well, anyway, this is what you want. This is what you want. And the reason why you want this is the following. Now, what I would say, what I would do really is I would probably not have I would probably have it every 1.5 inches, maybe. I don't know. First of all, I'd have the hole smaller. But now the reason why you want this is the following. When you place a piece on top, let's say your piece is only, let's zoom in here. Let's say your piece is only 3 pieces by 3 pieces long. Okay. Then what you want to do is you want to put, you're going to buy yourself some thin rubber gasket material, weather stripping. They sell them very readily in rolls. And all you got to do is lay it down. Now, if you make this precise enough and you make these deep enough, you could actually shove them in there. But really all you got to do is just, as long as they lay in there tight enough. So when you press your piece, let's say you have this 3x3 piece here. Now, here, let's go to the hang on, to this piece. Let's say you have your where is it? Here it is. Say you have your initial 3x3 piece right here. Lay a bead down here, 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 and here. You don't care about any of these holes. You don't care about any of this. All you care about is to have a rubber piece here. Now the rubber piece, as soon as you place your piece, let's say your piece crosses just a little over that rubber piece. Remember, it's got to be within the outside of your piece,
right?
And then and it's as simple as that. Now you put your now the problem with this configuration is if you have these big holes, you're not going to get any vacuum here because all of the vacuum is going to be the air is going to flow right through here. It's not going to build up a vacuum at all. So basically, either you're going to have a series of baffles in there, in between underneath here, you're going to have a series of baffles, or you're going to have to make smaller holes. And that's the reason for the smaller holes, is that if you had a whole bunch of small holes, then basically you could close this piece off. And, now right. what you would do with the rest of it, is basically another way to do this. Another way to secure this piece is, obviously you're not normally going to have a very, very tiny piece. You're normally going to have a piece. The reason for making an 18 by 30 or an 18 by 20 or whatever is because most of your pieces are about that big. If most of your pieces are tiny little pieces, then by all means make a very, very small box. Actually, don't cut the holes in the rest of it. Make the big box, but don't cut the holes. You could have different lids is another option. You can have different lids with, don't put holes in the other sections. You're going to have a lid for if particularly if you are oh, hey Ryan, how's it going? I see you jumping in. Hey Troy. If you have a small, I have something that I'm engraving and it's 3 inches by 4 inches. Well, then by all means, if you're doing a bunch of them, make a 3 inch by 4, put the holes in the 3 inch by 4 inch, the rest of the holes, leave them shut. You're going to have a huge cavity for vacuum. So your shop vac is going to be pulling in, and you're going to create that. Remember, I mean, you're talking about pounds per square inch of volume. It's difficult to explain pressure, but if you connect your hose to a tiny little sliver, then it's not going to create. Whereas if you connect it to a big barrel, I mean, you've seen it. You've seen a barrel. I mean, you connect a little shop vac to a well, those barrels are made for it, but to a plastic barrel, for instance, and you turn it on, that plastic barrel is going to But you connect it to a plastic barrel this thick, it's not going to do a damn thing. So hey Rob, so that has a lot to do with it. So there's your simple, straightforward, and it's 9 o'clock. So next week we'll do the sign. We'll do some little simple vcarve signs for you intro people. So this will work very well with it. But my suggestion for this is have a bunch of little squares at different, and keep a stack of them with you. And so let's say you only need a piece that's 10 by 10. Well, you're going to have an extra 8 inches here, and you're going to have an extra 20 inches here. Well, if you have a piece that's 10 by 10 or whatever, stick a bunch of them on there with the rubber or whatever, and you've blocked off all the rest of the holes, which is another thing you can do. I mean, you got to get creative, because the problem with vacuum tables is there's no one size fits all with the vacuum tables,
Chris said he's changing his shop vac to a 30-inch hose.
Shop vac to a 30-inch. Okay. I don't get it.
You're going to make it that wide?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking he meant.
Okay, 30. Yeah, but that's an awful short hose. Why? Yeah. If you're going to make it that wide, well, I completely agree with you there. I'm telling you, for some of the, I'm telling you, if you guys have a, for me the horror
you said
story.
That was a joke, by the way.
Oh, then it is 30 inches wide. For me, the horror of the shop, dust wise, and it's not dust, it's shavings, is there's nothing worse than the planer without a helical blade. Because if you got a helical blade on your planer, your problems are solved. And believe me, one of the purchases that I'm going to make is a planer with a helical blade. I mean, my planer's okay, but I'd rather have a new planer. If I'm going to spend the money on a helical blade, I'm going to buy a new planer, something decent, but not ridiculously expensive.
Don't get a Grizzly.
Grizzly, the Walt is ridiculously expensive, but it's a good one. I got to see. I'm going to do it backwards. I'm going to find out first what helical blades are available and at what cost for what planers. And then, most of the stuff I plane is under 12 and a half inch. So a 13-inch planer is perfect. I mean, it's, I don't know how people, why do people get 20-inch planers or something like that? I mean, I understand when you want to But for that, I'll plane up 2 boards, which I made a table. I made my dining room table years ago. And I was planing 3-inch boards, you know? And in the end, hey, biscuits are a beautiful thing. As long as you get the level right, those biscuits, they're perfect. There was no cracks. There was no nothing. They glued up, you clamp them, you align them right, and you can laminate anything. So, I mean, don't give me, oh, no, it's a lot easier with a 20-inch. It's a lot more expensive in my case.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're doing this for production, if as a hobby, even making furniture. I mean, now I will say this though: a 24-inch sander, drum sander. Yeah, I do see an advantage to that. A planer, not so much. A planer, not so much, because that's a big expense. But
Michael asked, what got you into wood?
What got me into wood? All right, I'll give you that story. Some of you have heard it, some of you haven't. I mean, obviously, like many of us, my father really. I mean, he had a 42 Bertram, a yacht, and he completely gutted out the inside, and with teak and with the most, he was the most I mean, he still is. He's the most meticulous woodworker when it comes to, you talk fine woodworking. Well, that's what he did and stuff and all this. And that was always in the back of my mind and partially taught. But I was more of a, as a kid, I was more of a sloppy and slap it together kind of woodworker. It's like nails, screws. What do we need that for? Look, glue, 2 pieces. I'm done. I'm done. And I don't care how they fit. Oh, they're not aligned. Yeah, no big deal. I didn't never had the time. I was very impatient as a kid and stuff. But you learn to appreciate it more when you get older, like many things. And then and what happened was I had a buddy of mine, John Hall, who a number of years back, he was he and I and another buddy named Carl and we used to go to wood shows in Miami. This is probably a couple decades ago when wood shows were something. When and I've said this before, the wood shows in Miami, they would be at the convention center. It's huge event. Everybody would be demonstrating. Incra would have a huge booth and be demonstrating how to cut box joints so they'd have all their stuff out, and they'd probably each booth had easily minimum 2 table saws, and shop saws, and and I mean, you guys remember those days when there used to be real wood shows. Yeah. I mean, in the past 10 years, I go to thewoodworkingshows.com. Oh, and by the way, now that I broached that subject, I go to woodworking shows to see the product and to see my fellow woodworkers, my YouTube woodworkers who are from all around the country and you guys. If you hey, I'm going to be at the show. Oh, I'll see you there. And to meet there. Now because of COVID, they're all doing this virtual thing. I'm not paying $20 for something that I can get on YouTube a million times over, and half the things I teach. I mean, no, thank you. I don't mind paying 10, 12, 15, 6, whatever for a ticket to go in. Heck, every time I go there, I give them about $100 and I buy, they got the $10 The Woodworking Show shirts.
Yeah.
I buy them every color, every year. I used to love to do that. But at the show, I'm not going to buy them online. There's no point. But so I'm a little saddened that nothing's happening. And I know it's partially because a lot of the big people, but Peachtree even pulled out. So there's no vendors left. There's no vendors that everybody's selling online, and it's a damn shame because those are really fun events.
Sure were.
So way back when they were giving classes for free, when they were giving free classes on, and a lot of them were, you know, you're going to buy my software, you're going to buy my, you know, this kind of thing, or buy my shop saw, or buy my Incra. So they you know, they'd show you how to create a box joint jig and how to create a box, and they give away all the boxes that they've been making all day because they're not going to take them home. We know the deal now. Well, those were great times, and I would go there, and I'd come home with a bunch of swag, and I'd come home with $500 less in my pocket, minimum. So did John. So did John. Carl would just watch us spend money. He'd be a couple $100 thinner in his wallet too. But anyway, so a bunch of it, you know, we went to, and it was good times. And then later, John he really got into the small stuff, the making little boxes and the pens. And he was really crazy into pens. And I never saw the allure, you know. This was only as recently as 15 years ago. Never saw the allure. Then back about, I don't know, I want to say about 8 years, 10 years ago now. I don't know how long it's been. It seems like an eternity without him. He passed away. And you know, he's I mean, my parents are still alive, and he's probably the closest person I had that has ever, you know, closest experience to death that I've ever, you know, encountered. And so it did hit me, you know, a bit hard. I miss him dearly. Because, I mean, he was a kindred spirit, not just in woodworking, but we enjoyed woodworking together. We enjoyed electronics. We enjoyed computers. I mean, he was into ham radio, into computers and electronics, we sang in the choir together. You know, we went on camping trips, you know, with the choir, and we did a whole bunch of, for those of you into the religion, we did a bunch of retreats together where we were the logistical people. We didn't so much like to give, I've given a few talks, a few witness talks, but I like to be the guy cooking in the kitchen behind the scenes, you know,
right.
And the guy creating the schedule, and you know, the either the advisor or the guy in control of the schedule. But you guys enjoy the talks anyway, you know. And so a lot of good times. He's about 10 years older than I was, and he'd served in the Coast Guard. Well, he served in the Navy as a chef, and then Coast Guard Auxiliary for years. And anyway, wonderful man. And he passed away. And one thing led to another. I mentioned it on Facebook. I wrote a little poem called Dear John, and it was a Dear John letter. While most Dear John letters are you leaving somebody, this was because, you know, he had left us. So, and I shared it on his, you know, deceased page because, I mean, you know, I want more people to, not that anybody would see it. And then his family saw it. And just so happens that his niece inherited his house. He didn't have any kids. His niece inherited his house. His wife had died like 3 months later, so it was real quick. And then wonderful woman as well. And then so his niece, one of his nieces, inherited the house. He had a shop, a 10 by 20 shop. He was more of a hoarder than I am. So not only did he have a few tools, but a bunch of junk. For 2 years after his death, nobody had touched it. You know, it had rat droppings inside. It would dust everywhere. It still smelled of his cherry vanilla from his smoking his pipe and stuff. And so Annie goes, look, if there's anything you want in there, because I'd like to eventually turn it into a shed, into a craft shop for me. And I said, I'll do you one better. I'll happily empty it all out for you. I'll throw whatever you want to dump. If I mean, she's giving me the stuff in there anyway. I might as well. So, and then, and I went ahead and drywalled it for her. I sealed it all up. There's a video somewhere in my back things, and and painted it, put the outlets in. Basically, she and her husband did the laminate tile work, but other than that, I mean, that place, beautiful. I had a little AC in there and everything. So I mean, I haven't talked to her in a while, but I imagine she's crafting there. I mean, in her spare time, and so I missed them dearly, and because of all the extra equipment, and in combination with that, and turning at the time I was turning, holy cow, it was only 4 years ago. 4 or 5 years. He died probably about 6, 7 years ago, because about 4 or 5 years ago, I turned 51, and then all of a sudden, that's when my whole life changed. I was, like some of us, when we cross the 50-year-old threshold, is like, well, you know what? All of this stuff I have left to do, I only have this much time, so let's just get rid of all the stuff we really don't care about, concentrate on what we really, really want to do, and I basically leaned out my bucket list to not everything because no one can do everything.
Right.
And it's only after the age of 50 when you realize, you know what? And I didn't care to do any of that stuff anymore. So, but I really always got a joy out of working with wood. And so I decided to focus on it more and more and more. I still, it's a hobby. It's not a by any means, it's not a money maker. It's pure and simple. I've worked long and hard enough in my life where I've reached the point already where, and this also happened at 51. I was working very, very hard, and I figured, look, I can bust my butt for another 20 years and retire, or 15 years and retire at 65, or lean out my work, because I was pushing 60 hours a week and making double what I'm making now, and well on my way to being, fully, very, very comfortable life, retired. But then I thought at 65, I mean, I don't know, I was 51 at the time. Now 65 doesn't seem that far away, but back then I thought 65, I'm not going to be able to do anything physically that I want to do, but I can do it now. So balance, guys. Everything about life is a balance. So I worked less. Basically, before I was working not only for a living, but for as much money as I can. Now it's like for a living and a little bit more for savings. Basically, I'll work another 5 years, but in the end, now I've got an extra 40 hours a week. So I've slacked off from 60 to 10. So now I got a lot of time on my hands, and then one thing led to another, and then you guys, for all of you that have seen my Make Room for Javi series, you've pretty much that lays it all out, because in the beginning it was I started at that time. I started clearing out my stuff so I can put all my woodworking in order. And I reached the point where all my tools, if I were to lay them all out comfortably, I still didn't have enough room to work. And that's when I decided to, buy the property and the eventual move. But I'm not going to do it just, drop everything, sell the house and drop. No. I mean, everything's got to be planned strategically, save up for it, get a good deal on the property, do most of the stuff myself. So that'll save me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, I ran the numbers, folks. For those of you that haven't heard, The number is somewhere in the neighborhood of $450,000 is what it would cost to build a house. If I had it contracted, that's what someone like my father would charge. But if I do it myself, you're talking at about 190,000. The real number is going to be somewhere in between because I am going to have a bit of help. But there's a lot of the stuff that I am going to do myself. So I don't mind doing a little bit of work for a year for a couple $100,000. I think that's a good salary. What do you think, Russ?
That's a pretty good salary.
Maybe a little bit of a backache.
You can make a living.
I can make a living. But anyway, and then so the idea is basically like many of us, just enjoy your woodworking when you can. Make as much time as you can for what you enjoy. I mean, if that's what you enjoy, then by all means, make more time for it. If you enjoy sitting watching YouTube all day long, well, then by all means, I have nothing against that. Sit in front of the TV. And
I enjoy that, but by God, my wife hates me doing it.
Yeah. The nice thing about the woodworking is that it not only YouTube. There's just so much of it before you get tired of it. I know because I've seen a lot of YouTube. And I love YouTube for the instructional videos, but then I get lost in rabbit holes of top 10 lists and this and that. And oh my God, there are some days where you feel like you've wasted your day. And you've got two choices at that point. You either completely change your opinion of what a productive day is. In other words, redefine laziness. So I didn't waste my day. I learned 5 minutes of stuff by spending 20 hours on YouTube, or I was entertained. You could also say, look, I worked my whole entire life. I'm 60 now or 55. Okay, 65. 70 or 80. I've worked my whole entire life. I'm good. I don't need to work anymore. I'm going to sit back and enjoy YouTube. Some people like to travel. Some people like to watch YouTube and travel through YouTube. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference to me. But for me, if I sit and watch YouTube all day, I do feel a little unproductive. And I've learned anxiety-wise, the best thing I could do for my mental health is do something, whether it's and not clean up the shop, because that's kind of well days like. Actually, I did this last week, and I feel very, very productive because it's completely clean. I'm just gonna. But there are some days. There was a month where all I was doing was cleaning the same stuff, and I wasn't really cleaning. I was moving from one place to another. I wasn't getting rid of anything. And those kind of days are just as unproductive as the YouTube days. But the rest, when I'm out in the shop, when I'm out doing something, or obviously when I'm working, but that's an automatic productive day. That's just that's not a personally productive day. That's like, okay, I made some money, ha ha ha, and I can buy more stuff on Amazon. Yeah, great. That's wonderful. But we're makers, and when we build something, that is the epitome of a feeling of accomplishment for us. This house is going to be a feeling of accomplishment. Already, the work that I've spent, I when I first got on the property, and I got a couple estimates for the land clearing, and they wanted $30,000. That doesn't include all the half an acre or acre of bamboo that I've cut to clear the lake. That's just the brush. So $30,000. I mean, they're out of their freaking minds, But when you think about it, all the stuff that I've done and all the hours that I've spent, if you were to truly, truly put a monetary value on it, $20,000, $30,000. The fence, I put a fence up. I put 1,500 feet of fence up, 1,500 feet. at $15 a foot, which is what field fence installations are going for. It's nuts. That's $22,500. I spent $2,000. Yeah, I dug all the holes myself. I put all the poles myself. I stapled everything and stuff. $2,000 in materials. So, I mean, the work that I've done on that land is an extremely accomplished feeling, and it hasn't even begun. I mean, it was a good feeling, and it felt good to be out there, and it felt good to cut a bunch of logs, and it felt good to have a bunch of fire. I had a lot of fun doing it. I'm going to have just as much fun. I know you guys think I'm crazy if you're not into construction. I'm going to have just as much fun doing carpentry work, doing basically framing, putting up the trusses, the drywall work and plastering. I love doing that. That for me, that's also a feeling of accomplishment. The stucco, not so much. But you know what?
I don't blame you there.
And while I don't like doing tiles, I do tiles because it is a feeling of accomplishment. Whereas if I can avoid doing the roof, I hate bending down. You guys know that. I don't believe in that. If there was a way to elevate the floor and put the tiles on at chest level and then drop it down, that'd be perfect. And I'm working on that for the pavers. Mind you, you're going to see some sort of a funny invention when I put down the pavers, because I don't. Oh my God, we're talking 5,500 square feet of pavers. That driveway is 175 feet long, and it curves and it widens in certain directions. So it's not fun, not fun at all. So
we'll be laughing and having fun watching you do it on your video.
Yeah, you will. So get ready. Speaking of videos, folks, I am going to do my best to within the next month or so. I'm going to try to get out the missing files, the missing videos, the lost tapes. That's it, the lost tapes. Because January of 2020 was the last time I put out a video, and it was a video for September of 2019. I have all the footage from October of 2019 all the way up to present. Granted, 6 months of that I haven't done anything, but because I've just been maintaining the lawn for the past ever since my neighbor, the douchebag. Did I say that out loud? Ever since we'll just call him the racist. Ever since the racist neighbor decided to call code enforcement on the container, and I had to get rid of it, I haven't been able to spend as much time as I could there, and haven't been able to get progress. But that'll change all as soon as the financing's finally approved. I think it is approved. It just feels like it takes forever. It's only been a couple weeks, but it feels like it takes forever. And either way, we're all. I'm looking forward to that, because in that way that'll release the floodgates on the build. At that point, that's when I break ground. Soon as I pull that permit, I break ground. But I'm not pulling the permit until I'm ready to, because we're talking they only give you a year. If they gave you more than a year, if they give you 2 years, I'd pull the permit now. I'd pay the money and pull the permit now. Not a problem, and take my time doing the stuff. But they give you an X amount of time, and I could do 100,000 a year in materials by myself. I can't do 200,000 in a year, and that's way too much. So it is what it is. Unless I move out of my house and sell it, and I got to live somewhere, and my wife would be pissed.
Boy, you are. You better believe it. What's on your retro show tonight, fella?
On the retro show for tonight, Al and I will be talking about restaurants. So, folks, in about half an hour's time or so, tune in this same channel. We're going to be talking about restaurants. the restaurants of the 70s and 80s. I'm going to have to do a little research now. I've got a few things in mind, and I always say, oh, I've got a couple things, and they'll never fill up an hour, but they end up filling an hour. I don't know how. I mean, they end up being from one or two things, and then everybody in the starts saying, oh, this, and how about this, and how about this? And I go, yeah, I forgot about that. And that leads me to a whole other rabbit hole. So, you know, so yeah, it's so funny because I don't remember who it was. It might have been Troy, come to think of it, but I don't remember who it was. But on one of the shows some time ago, we were talking about stores, and somebody brought up Kinney shoes, which reminded me of Tom McCann's shoes, you know, but yeah, Kinney, Tom McCann, and all those other shoe stores. That was a whole other subject. I mean, a whole other part of the stores, you know, because I was just, my mind was just on Blockbuster and those kind of stores that dropped off, and the old stores like Woolco and Montgomery Ward and Jackson Byron's. Wow. I still call it Jackson Byron's. And then there was J. Byron's, and I still couldn't say J. Byron's. That's J. Byron's. No, it's Jackson Byron's. And then they said, hey, the little girl, hey, we dropped the J. It was just Byron's, and there was this little kid on the commercial related to somebody in production staff, I would imagine, say, hey, we dropped the J. Anyway, folks, next week I'll see what other contraption we can make. I hope you guys enjoyed the vacuum table here. Again, remember with the vacuum table, let's put it back up here with this. Zoom in on it a little. So basically, what you're looking at is, you know, you place your piece. Let's say your piece only covers a small section here. Obviously, separate a gap. Make sure you have an outline around your piece, and you will create a vacuum depending on how large the hole. If these holes are too big, then all this other air is going to escape. But if the holes are small enough, the air is just going to go constantly through here. But in this section, it will build a vacuum, a stronger vacuum than up here. You know, well, you know, the pressure will be the same, but the volume will be different. It's a little hard to explain. But the best thing you could do, though, is section off your little thing with rubber and close off all these holes by sectioning off a piece here and putting some. If the holes are small enough, the other thing you can do is just lay paper down on here, and it's not gonna, and that will increase this area, you know. Yeah. So that's the long and the short of it. Did I have ER Corverts? No, never heard of ER Corverts.
No, have I.
That's an interesting one. So, folks, you guys have a wonderful evening. I'll be on back again about 10 o'clock tonight, and with Al, and if Russ will join us with Russ, and we'll be chatting about the old days, as we often do. Guys in their 50s and 60s talking about the 70s and 80s at 10. Have a wonderful day, and see y'all next week.
See y'all, folks.
Happy seeing